I was told, go to school, get an education, get the career, find the husband, have the babies, get the house. So I did all of that. I was checking those boxes off. And when I finally got to a place where I was like, okay, I've done everything, I'm settled, I was looking around like, this can't be it.
In this world that's filled with so much noise and information, how do we really stand out and be who we were really meant to be? In this podcast, we focus on injecting you with positivity, optimism, and strategies, all centered around helping you be who you were always meant to be in business and life. Be inspired to show up in your own skin to learn strategies, habits, and skills from others as we share our own life journeys and stories. There's no other you, and you know yourself better than anyone else. So be prepared to take away habitual tidbits, tactics that will encourage you to pursue and live your life, not the one others want you to live. Welcome to Stand Out Be You, where you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be you. Hi, it's Tequila, your host, and we're going to speak with our guest, Kendra Woods, a mindset and business coach. Today, we're going to speak with Kendra about how she is helping women step into their divine purpose, power, and prosperity by teaching them how to reclaim their mind. What I loved about this interview with Kendra is that, like many of our guests, including myself, she shifted her workforce skills in order to start her business. With that being said, if you have ever wanted to shift your skills or talents, or even had an idea, but you're not quite sure where to start or how to begin, well, test your idea and see if it works beforehand. Don't know how to do it? Don't worry. I put together a plan that will help you test it out. You can go to tequiladodard.com/test idea. Now, before Kendra joins us, just as a reminder, if you have any questions or require assistance, you can always reach Kendra at KendraKWoods.com, and I will link that in the show notes. Kendra, welcome to Stand Out Be You. Let's get to know you more. Tell us a little bit more about you and your story.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. A little bit about me. So I am a mindset and business coach for female entrepreneurs, and I am so passionate about helping women just get out of their heads, and take the action that is going to align them with the life and the business they dream of. On a personal note, I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I live on the beautiful Gulf Coast, so we've got beaches right here, like 10 minutes from me. And I'm a fun person. I like to have a good time, but I'm very passionate as well about living a life of purpose. That is my biggest thing, is living a life of purpose.
That's great. That's great. Well, I love that you actually said that, because when we were talking before, I said, okay, so let me get your intro here. And you said that you help them with their purpose and reclaim their mind. Tell us a little bit more about how you go about doing that.
Well, I'm all about connecting, right? I know that I could have a surface level conversation with somebody and just listen to what they're saying, but my process is I always go a little bit beneath the surface. So if someone's coming to me and they're saying, I just feel like I'm a little stuck, I don't know what to do, my process is not just to give you a bunch of strategies and say, try this, try this, try this. What I like to do is get beneath that and say, help me understand what you mean when you say you're stuck. What does that look like? What does that feel like? What experiences have you had? We'll go back and look at past experiences. And I really like to dig a bit deep and get to the root of the problem, because I believe that to actually overcome and work through any type of mindset block or challenge, you got to get to the root of it. You got to understand it before you can change it, is how I look at it. And so that's the process that I work with my clients, is helping them to see it. And then let's talk about understanding it a little bit, so that then they're more likely to be able to shift it in a way that is successful for them.
Now, have you seen some commonalities in the clients that you actually see that come to you?
Yes. It's interesting because I've worked in corporate, I guess, for 10 years, okay? I've been in different areas. I've been in real estate. I've been in restaurant management. I've been in healthcare management. And I found myself unsettled in every single place that I was in. I could not figure out what that was. So it's interesting because a lot of the women that I work with are women who are in corporate or have just left corporate. And they have that same void on the inside where they have felt like, I know that there's more for me to do. I feel a little unsettled, but I don't know what that is. A lot of it ends up being they know what they want, but they feel like they have to have permission to actually go after the thing that they want. So a lot of my conversation with my clients is around getting them to understand that you don't need anybody's permission. And number two, the dream and vision that you see inside of you that you think may seem a little out there or a little off, no, that's real and it's yours. And I get that because that was me. I had this dream and vision and I thought, there's no way I could do that. Like, how can I even make that happen? And I see that in my clients when I work with them. And so it's helping them, I don't know, this may sound funny, but to become one with what they were created to do instead of thinking that it's not their purpose when really it is their purpose.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kendra, would you say it's getting them to believe in something that is higher than where they are at that moment?
Absolutely. Yeah. Here's how I look at this. I like to say, part of my story is I checked off all the boxes in my life, right? I was told, go to school, get an education, get the career, find the husband, have the babies, get the house. So I did all of that. I was checking those boxes off. And when I finally got to a place where I was like, okay, I've done everything, I'm settled, I was looking around like, this can't be it. And what I had to realize is that was the thinking and the conditioning, if you will, that was given to me growing up, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that we have to get to a place to where we can challenge that thinking and understand that there can be another way. There can be something different. And so when I'm having these conversations with my clients and we're talking about their dreams and their vision, and I say, oh, you could do this, or you could monetize, your speaking passion like this, they're just like, what? Really? Or you could do that? And so, yes, it's absolutely getting them to see a vision or a way of aligning themselves with their vision that may be completely different than what they thought they could do.
Yeah, I completely relate because we were talking about this before we actually hopped on here to start recording. As I come from the corporate background as well. And I will tell you, I climbed that ladder, but it wasn't until I actually created my own type of position in corporate that I was at my happiest in my corporate-like position. But I am even more so happy now because it's something that I can call my own. And I think that bit of that, letting go of that traditional is what we talked about before, because we tend to go that traditional pattern, but when we start to do our own business, especially online, it takes us having to step out of what we always know and what you just said, checking those boxes. So let's rewind a little bit about you. How were you able to step out of the traditional kind of corporate like setting and move into where you are right now?
Well, one thing that I started to realize, the position that I was in, I was given some responsibilities that I was really excited about. So a few of those things where they wanted me to teach customer service. I did a customer service course or training, if you will, with the employees of the whole company that I worked with. And then I also did some onboarding presentations for new employees coming in. And being that I was in a position where I managed others, I was constantly coaching and motivating and helping people become more of who they truly were in their positions. And I started noticing that I was getting excited about those things. And I was like, I wonder if, what I could do with this. I had no clue what I could do with it. And I came across a woman who was talking about launching your business, right? And I listened to her, and she was a nonprofit, and she started her business just from going out and doing speaking engagements for free at the time to different nonprofits, to different organizations in town. And that kind of got my wheels turning. I thought, wait a minute, I love speaking in front of people. I loved doing the presentations for the board of directors. And people would look at me crazy like, you enjoy that? And I did. I had so much fun doing that. And so I thought of those things I was doing in corporate and thought, okay, I love to speak. This woman here, it was on a similar track, and she is out speaking. Where can I go to start fine-tuning this love that I have for speaking? So the first thing I did is I joined Toastmasters, my local Toastmasters group, and it just came to me so easy. And from that point, I was like, okay, I'm going to do something with this. And so I did go to a conference to kind of learn how to launch my business and what all was needed. And from then, I just started marketing myself as a speaker. And so I would go to little events here in town, like, vision board parties or women's, association groups here. And I would just stand up and share an encouraging message or something that would inspire the women in the group. And that is what really started me going in the direction of building an online business.
Yeah, that's awesome that you say that, because there's one sector of what I coach or what I give away is testing your idea and how to go about doing that. And you did it perfectly. You had a skill and you knew that you loved that skill, because believe me, when we're in that workforce environment, there's some things that we don't like to do. We just don't. Yeah. Let's just be honest. But then there's some things that we absolutely love to do. And I always challenge individuals is write down those things that you absolutely love to do and then rank those items. And then that item or those items, those top ones that you love, that's what you should actually take on the road to online, right? It sounds like that's what you
Exactly.
Yeah. So what has inspired you, or who has inspired you to do this?
Oh, goodness. Well, first, my personal inspiration, I guess, if you will, is my daughter. I have a 6-year-old daughter. And she is probably my biggest inspiration, because it's funny, we look at children and we think they're just kids, but I learned so much from my 6-year-old. So she's just fearless and just, she knows what she wants and she goes out and she does it. And she asks for it and she's like, can I do this? Can I do that? And so I looked at that and I thought, what if I just decided that this is what I want to do and I go out there and do it? And so the first person that I ever worked with, she was the one who went to the conference and read her book. Her name is Rosetta Thurman. She wrote the book on how to launch your business, and I went to her conferences, and I just listening to her journey really connected with me. And I thought, if she can do this, I can do this. And then right after that, I worked with another coach who, similar story, was in corporate and sales and got out of sales and started her own business. And she was more newer in the game at the time. And working with her name is Rashida. Watching both of them do what they do really inspires me. And then if I want to go on a bigger realm, I love Oprah. The reason she inspires me is because I am big on really leading with your soul. And I'm a big believer in our answers are already within us. If we can just tune in, get quiet, and just really listen, shut off all the noise, you'll hear the voice inside of you that will tell you or kind of nudge you, do this, or kind of give you that idea to do this. And so I love just listening to her wisdom around knowing yourself and being okay with yourself and trusting yourself and following that voice. So those are a few.
Yeah, so good. So what's been, out of all of this, your most challenging moment with getting everything going?
Oh, my goodness. I feel like at every stage, there's always like a new challenge. When I first launched my business, I was still in corporate. So at that time, and I get this question a lot from my clients who still work in corporate, my challenge then was carving out the time to work on my website, to write my blogs, to figure out what package I was going to offer, to figure out who my ideal client was. And that was a challenge for me. And so I really had to get creative with my time. At one point, I was getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning I'm big on doing my mindset work, which for me is journaling and meditating and prayer. Exercise to me is mindset work. So getting myself together first, and then I would write a blog, that morning before work. And then I would stay up an hour or two later to work on, ideas or my website or whatnot. So in the beginning, that was kind of my challenge, was really finding that time and keeping myself energized, because it's by the time the weekend would get here, I would be like, okay, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah. It's mastering yourself.
Yes, it is. At this stage where I'm at now, where I don't have the 9 to 5 that I'm going to, it's just my business. It is focusing on what I need to do for my business. And I say that because in the online world, there's so much out there that you could get drawn into. Well, this product will do this for you, and this one will do this, and this will do this. And I had to pull myself back because I was doing little bits here and there. And I had to pull myself back and think, okay, we've got to think like a businesswoman now. Like, you're not in corporate. You are your own businesswoman. What does your business need right now?
Exactly.
And really getting strategic with that.
Yeah, it's like a tug of war, especially if you have that corporate background. It's a tug of war with yourself as to, you're a smart cookie, but then you get here online and you're like, oh my God, I can do all of these things, because we're like, I am like every woman. But you have to go through that process, I think. I really think you have to go through that process in order to really find yourself, which is another reason why we have this podcast. So I wanted to have it. Part of one of the reasons is for you to stand out and be who you are. Stand out and be you. When I say that, Kendra, when I say that statement, stand out, be you, what does that mean to you?
What that means to me is, I'm going to use this as an example. There's this fear, I think, that, I have this idea. I have this thing that I want to do in my business. I have this service I want to offer, but everyone's already doing it. And what that means to me is, you've got to turn that off and realize that, yes, there's many women out there right now talking about mindset, coaching on mindset, but the way that I present it, nobody else can ever do that. And it's getting comfortable, and it's getting into that knowing that the way you present something, the way that you show up, the way that you teach, the way that you coach, that nobody else in this world is going to be able to do that like you. And then number 2, I would say, is it is always okay to look to others in the industry of whatever you're doing and gleaning from them, their wisdom and their ways of doing things, but then to always run it through your own personal filter. And I'm all about my feelings and emotions, and really check in with yourself and say, does this feel good for me? And if it does, then you do it, in a way that feels good for you, right? So it's standing out and presenting it in the way that is your way, forgetting about how everyone else is doing it. Because I think we can easily fall in that trap where we see this person doing something this way, and we think, oh, I've got to do my Facebook live streams just like that. And that's not the case. I truly believe that there are people in this world who need what you have specifically. And if you're not giving that to them, they're not going to hear you. They're not going to know that you're out there because you're trying to speak everyone else's language.
Exactly. I say this all the time, that you have a voice and you have a story, and it deserves to be shared and heard. If we wanted to get in touch with you, the listeners, and connect with you to get more into how do we get out of the chaos that we've been talking about and really step into the right mindset to prepare ourselves to actually move to that next level in our business, how do we get in touch with you?
Well, I have my website, which is KendraKWoods.com, and that's K-A-Y, KendraKWoods.com, and on social media, Kendra K. Woods MBA. I do have a Facebook group, too, that's called Epic Boss Babes, and inside of that group, I provide deeper insights and more personal insights about my journey inside of that group. And I also do things. Journaling has been so transformative for me. So every week I give my members, a really deep transformational journal exercise to work on for the week. I have live coaching sessions that I just started today, actually. I just started that in the group where, my members can ask me questions. What's their challenge? What are they stuck with? What do they need support with? And I actually do live coaching right there. So those are 3 of the ways that you can stay in touch with me. And I do post a blog also twice a week, which my blog is on my website, but I post a blog every week, Tuesday and Thursday as well.
Perfect. And of course, listeners, you know that I will link everything in the show notes as usual. So this next part of the episode, I like to get into asking you more detailed questions, more so I say personality questions, where we can get to know a little bit more about you. So the first one is, what place have you been to or traveled to the furthest from your birthplace?
I would have to say a few years ago, my husband and I went to Jamaica, and I fell in love with Jamaica. I mean to say that. I fell in love with the people, with where we were at. It was beautiful.
You know, I've been to a lot of places because I love to travel. I'm a traveler. And that's one I haven't been to.
Really?
So we really have to get over to Jamaica. So for sure, I have to get in touch with you when it's time for us to go there.
Oh, it was beautiful. We had a great time.
So what would you tell your 10-year-old self about life today?
Oh my gosh, that is a good one. Well, I would say to her that she could have whatever she desires. Whatever she desires, she can have it if she asks for it, believes it, and, you know, does the work that's aligned with what she's wanting. And the next thing I would say too is to not be so hard on yourself. Take it easy on yourself. You're going to get it.
Love it. And the next one is a fun one. If you could be any animal in the world, what animal would you be and why?
Oh my goodness. If I could be any animal in the world, what would I be and why? Ooh. I would say either a whale or a dolphin. I love water. I find my peace when I go to the beach. I feel really connected with nature and with God at the beach. So it would be amazing just to be able to be out there in the big, big wide open in the water.
Well, you know, I think one of the most important parts about who you are or who someone is by their name. So tell me a little bit more about your name. How did you go about getting your name?
Oh my gosh. You know, well, I'll tell you this. I'm not quite sure of my first name, like what the history was behind that. But my middle name is actually, I share that middle name with my mother. Mm-hmm. So her middle name is Kay, my middle name is Kay. And so we've got that connection. I kind of wish, it's funny because my daughter's middle name is Michelle. And I'm thinking, why didn't I give her the middle name Kay? Just to keep that going. But my first name, I could not tell you, to be honest.
Well, that's sweet. I love how the middle name is connected because I always tell my kids, you know what? Someone's name is very important. For me, I had to live into my name. I had to move into it with the name Tequila. But I think your name is very important and it makes you who you are. So, Kay, it's been an absolute, I'm calling you Kay now.
That's okay.
Kendra, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here with us today here on Stand Out, Be You. And everyone who's listening, remember, as I always tell you, that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you. And Kendra, do you have any final parting words for the listeners?
Here's what I would say. Simply make the choice to believe in yourself. I deeply believe that we get to choose how we show up in our lives, in our businesses, in our relationships. So make the choice to simply believe in yourself. That's all you have to do. Don't question it. Don't analyze it. Just believe in you. Just go.
Yes. Well, there you have it. The final words from Kendra herself. Again, Kendra, it's been a pleasure. And everyone, everything will be in the show notes. And until next time, we'll chat soon.
Wouldn't it be wonderful to know the chances of success for a new project, blog, product, or service before you dive in too deeply? Entrepreneurs, bloggers, and online service providers often create products and services, then throw every selling technique that they could think of to try to make it work. This is the exact opposite of the approach you should be following when developing new products and services. Determine the need first, then build your offer around that need. It's much easier to sell something when your product or service is in high demand. I put together a guide that will help you learn the exact steps to follow for determining if your product or service idea is even worth pursuing. You will learn how to use the tools available online and how to analyze the results of those tools. You can go to tequiladodard.com/test idea. Again, tequiladodard.com/test idea to grab it.